Because in maritime courts, corporations can only contract with other corporations. A lawyer can only represent you as a corporation. And let me ask you a question, Ann. Can your corporation run a red light?
No, my corporation cannot run a red light.
No. So he's giving you an affidavit of fiction because he works for a legal fiction and he's trying to get you to respond to the legal fiction. And if he can't get you to respond to the legal fiction, he can't contract with you. So in that case, what you want to do is let him commit the crime. We're going to operate on acceptance. Not that we're trying to trap him or anything. We're just trying to educate him, right? So the first thing you could ask a police officer is, excuse me, sir, are you attempting to traffic my person? And the person is the all caps corporation, okay? And he's going to say no because he doesn't know better, and that's okay. But what he's ultimately doing is he's giving you a ticket, an affidavit of fiction, and that's got a 30-day notice. You've got a choice to show up at court, right? You know that if you don't show up at court, you're presumed guilty, right? And you know that they're going to then sell that as a debt instrument. But what you don't know is that in every court case, they're going to open up a trust in your name. Now, did you give them permission to do that?
And I did not.
No. And then what they're going to do is they're going to put 3 bonds in that trust. They're going to put a bid, a performance, and a payment bond in there. And then they're going to basically trade you on through your Sesta KV trust, which you didn't even know you had, and they're going to make anywhere from $2 to $5 million per traffic violation. And technically, in the background, they are then selling those as debt instruments. The courts are selling them as debt instruments up to the Treasury.
That's right.
So they're making good money on issuing traffic violations, and that's why they have a quota. So what you could do is you could turn around and grab an affidavit of truth, because in an affidavit of truth, it's all common law. So you leave the court systems completely behind because they're all corrupt at this point. They're all just administrative maritime courts. And what you can do is you can operate. So imagine you're on a playing field down here, Ann, and this is maritime. We're going to take it to a playing field up here. And by the way, the playing field down here, we're like in the football field, and we're all the way back to the 1-yard line because no one ever taught us how to play offense. But I'm about to take you to a football field right above that. You're going to fly right over to the end zone because you're operating in truth, and no one can rebut truth. So you're going to give them words that no man can gainsay. And in your affidavit of truth, you're going to say in that affidavit, there is no evidence that you didn't just hold me at gunpoint and attempt to traffic my person. There's no evidence that you're not working for a foreign corporation. There's no evidence that you are actually, in fact, a police or policy enforcer for the original republic. There is no evidence that you haven't signed an oath or have signed an oath to we the people, right? So what we are going to do with this affidavit of truth is we're reasonable. It's a negotiable instrument. So this officer can choose to either sign an oath to we the people, or he can choose to resign. He can do anything he wants. He can negotiate this instrument. But technically, he's taking a personal liability with every single ticket that he issues because he is working for a crime syndicate. And because he doesn't know that, that's okay. But in common law, every single man or woman is accountable for their deeds on this earth. So they have to be notified. So you put them on notice. So in your affidavit of truth, not only should it have documentaries to wake this officer up and let him know what's really going on, because again, he's probably a good guy, doesn't know what's going on. But in this affidavit of truth, you can let him know that there are all these things he has to rebut. In other words, he has to prove. You're giving him force, you're forcing burden of proof back on him that he has in fact signed an oath to we the people. And he hasn't, so he cannot prove otherwise. And when you put it in a negative advertement statement, you're basically saying there is no evidence to show that you did not just do this. Now, this is a very powerful statement. A negative advertement statement is very different than asking them for burden of proof. I'm not saying, hey, under burden of proof, prove to me you didn't just do this. Prove to me there wasn't bank fraud. Under burden of proof, prove to me that you didn't just willingly traffic my person. They can't prove that. But if you say there is no evidence, you're asking him to come to a court of record with evidence. You're forcing him to prove his innocence. So you're saying there's no evidence to prove you didn't just hold me at gunpoint, okay? And which is extortion. It's forced law, okay? So when you do this, again, in your affidavit of truth, you give him a timeline. He's got 30 days to seek a trial by peers or to cure, or he is now personally liable. And you can rack up these charges to about $1 million a pop. So if some of the people knew this right now and they were serving affidavits back to police officers, we're really just flipping the playbook. And at that point, this becomes a debt instrument.